is Clarence Hill and Shireen Williams coming to you from the Cowboys' loss to the Arizona Cardinals 28-17. They were flying high with a 6-game winning streak and talking Super Bowl. Now we're in the midst of a 2-game losing streak. They're headed for this much-needed European vacation on a 2-game losing streak with uncertainty with Tony Romo, the Cowboys quarterback, and a locker room in turmoil because of Joseph Randle.
Yeah, lots going on with this team, and I think they're very fortunate they played Jacksonville, even though it's in London.
Mm-hmm.
They did not play well today in any facet of this game. Special teams, usually a mainstay, did not play well. Defense did not play well enough to win, even with the interception return. Of course, the offense was awful, and they just couldn't do anything against this Cardinals defense, which, as Jason Wheaton said, is a pretty good defense. But they've got to do better. They do think Tony Romo is going to play on Sunday, Jerry said, but how strange has this story been to start out with a bruise and he's going to play? If he came back in last week, he's not going to play. Now he has 2 fractures of the transverse processes, and now he's going to make the trip, and it was supposedly a pain tolerance issue. And now after the game, Jerry said it was a preparation issue. He didn't practice, so he wasn't going to play. So, I mean, this thing's gotten stranger and stranger as we've gone on.
Well, and the bottom line is Brandon Wheaton didn't get the job done. He was 18 of 33 for 183 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. And that touchdown was a meaningless touchdown at the end of the game when the score was already decided. The Cowboys had hoped to get through this game with Brandon Wheaton as a quarterback. And if they win, they possibly could rest Romo again next week. And then give him 4 weeks of rest because they had the bye week following the game before we had to come back for the final stretch for the November 23rd game against the New York Giants. Now he has to play to stop this losing streak, to stop this snide, because with Wheaton not being able to convert third downs and keep this offense going, the running game, the number 1 rushing game in the league, the number 1 rushing offense with the top leading rusher in the league, and DeMarco Murray, they couldn't get it done. Murray had 79 yards on 19 carries. It stopped an 8-game streak of 100-yard games to open the season.
Yeah, and the inevitable questions of, well, why didn't you keep Kyle Orton, came up in the locker room after the game with Jerry Jones. And, of course, Orton's playing pretty well with the Buffalo Bills now as their starter. But Wheaton has got to play better, and I think we see why he's not in Cleveland anymore as a starter. He's now on a personal 8-game losing streak. He's 5-16 as a starter. There's a reason this guy's a backup, and when you lose your starter, as we all know, it is tough to win in this league. We saw the Philadelphia Eagles get it done, but the Cowboys were playing a much better opponent than the Eagles were today in the Houston Texans, and they couldn't get it done.
And the funny thing about it, last Monday night when Wheaton replaced Romo and led them to scores on 2 drives, there was all this talk, well, they should have kept Wheaton in the game, because they probably had a better chance of winning Monday with Wheaton than bringing in an injured Tony Romo. This week, with a full week to prepare, of course, the Cardinals had a full week to prepare for him. He was exposed as a starter. He couldn't get a job done on a long-term basis. Certainly came in and did well in a brief 2 drives against the Redskins, but on a long-term basis, out there for a full game, when the team could game plan for you, he didn't get the job done. And that's a huge issue going forward, because this back issue is not going to go away for the Cowboys. They're going to need a backup quarterback to win games when he can't go. The trust level in Wheaton is way low right now.
Well, let's talk about Joseph Randle. Wow, this guy has seen a fall here. He got in late in the game, but it was obvious what they were doing. Lance Dunbar was the second running back to come in early in the game to replace DeMarco Murray. Of course, the controversy when the jailhouse booking video comes out and he calls out Josh Brent and Dez Bryant on the video. Jerry says he will go to London. He will continue on the Cowboys roster. There's no decision to be made. He is a Dallas Cowboy. They've cleared the air, and that Joseph Randle regrets what he said, which is what Joseph Randle told me on Friday in the locker room, that he does regret everything that he said, and he better regret it. So they all are saying the right things right now. Do you see this lingering over onto this team and any lingering effects?
It's up to the leaders, and certainly over the weekend, Friday, certainly last week, the leaders were not happy. Dez Bryant was not happy, and maybe cooler heads have prevailed. Maybe, they've forgiven him. Talking to Dez Bryant today, he was not happy Friday, he was not happy Saturday, but he did say today that he has talked to Randle. There are certain things you don't do, and Randle crossed that line. He addressed that with him. He said, but I forgive him. He's my little brother. I want him to stay on this football team. And if Dez Bryant can forgive him, Josh Brent can forgive him, Jason Garrett has had a talk with both of them. He's had to talk with the entire team about that. Dez Bryant confirmed that today. They're trying to move on, and we'll see if they can move on. But certainly that was a problem for this team in the practice field during the late in the week, and it may have spilled over into this game. We don't know. But again, you have a full flight, long flight to London. You got a full week in London next week. You cannot be splintered in your locker room. and they need to make sure that it's okay. They can go forward with this.
This wasn't our best performance. We didn't fight the whole 60. A lot of plays left on the field. Give them credit to the opponent we faced. It's the reason why they have one loss. But on our side of the table, just gotta play better ball from start to finish. And let's get back to the drum board.
2 injuries to talk about besides Tony Romo. They had 2 injuries late in this game to defenders. Tyrone Crawford, the defensive tackle, he has an MCL injury. He's going to have an MRI tomorrow. They don't know quite how bad it is, but it sounds like he's going to be out for at least the short term. And the other injury they have is to Rolando McClain, the middle linebacker, was limping badly. He went in early into the locker room. Another one with a right knee injury. But Jerry says x-rays showed no structural damage. Again, he could be out this week, which hurts him at the linebacker position because they've already lost Sean Lee. They've already lost Justin Durant. If Rolando McClain doesn't play on Sunday, you're probably looking at maybe Tim Dobbins playing, who they just signed last week.
And it's frustrating. We're going to have to get on this 9 or 10-hour flight over here to go to London, and we got to figure out a way to win a football game. We need a win in the worst way. It don't matter who we play. I don't even know Jacksonville's record, and I don't care. I approach it like they got talent. They're a good football team, and we need to figure out a way to get a win.
Did y'all miss Tony?
Of course, man. Of course, when you get your franchise quarterback, you're out. But I mean, no excuses. We had a chance to win this game. At the end of the day, it was 14-10 going into fourth quarter.
This team was riding high, riding a 6-game winning streak, the best record in the league, hottest team in the league, and everybody was talking Super Bowl. Now injuries have popped up. They're riding a 2-game losing streak. They're going to London from 6-2 to talking Super Bowl. Now they're 6-3 with a 2-game losing streak, and maybe that 8-8 mark of the past few years is coming back into focus. Yeah, the Cowboys need to get this losing streak stopped and get back on a winning track against a beatable Jacksonville team in London on Sunday.
We'll see you next week in London. We leave on Monday, and we'll be there all week with the Cowboys. More Talking Cowboys coming at you. For Clarence Hill, I'm Shireen Williams.